All right, thank you much. So I did need to correct one thing that Gary said. I wasn't making $100 a case. I was making $100 a day, maybe with 20 or 30 or 40 cases in a day. So back then people were, it said day? I must have, all right, not a problem. So here what we're gonna do today, you're gonna hear a lot of talks about systems, right? And so what I wanna do is I wanna talk about how to generate 100 ideas, right, with 5 people in your office in about 10 minutes. And this is a system that we use, and it's a system you can take home. You can even do it today. You can take home to your office, to your friends, to your family, and execute on the ideas that you need to have to make your business move to the next level. Okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is talk a little bit about myself, just so you know who I am. Like Gary said, Jay Ruane. I'm from Connecticut. I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I'm a DUI lawyer by trade. However, in the last 10 years, I've gotten into post-conviction work, and I've walked 2 men out of jail who were serving life sentences for murders they did not commit. And if there's nothing better in life than walking out of a courtroom and sitting in a jail cell with an open door with a guy who thought he was going to die in jail, bawling because he's about to walk out and feel the sun on his face for the very first time as a free man. So if you have an opportunity to support post-conviction relief, please do it. If you ever want an opportunity to get involved in some cases, we have another case right now where we think we're gonna walk a 3rd man out of jail. So that's who I am. But I've become passionate about building my business because by building my business, it allows me to take on those challenging cases that may not make much money. So what we're gonna do when we want to address the issue of coming up with brainstorming is we need to define your challenge, right? And the challenge could be a marketing problem, it could be an administration problem, it could be a talent problem in your office, but you need to define your challenge narrowly. And I will talk about a failure that we had a couple weeks ago when we were doing this exercise, although now that I know from Joey it's not a failure, it's an opportunity to succeed, in that we didn't narrowly define our challenge enough. And so the question I posed to my office is, how do we get more referrals to the firm? And it devolved into a discussion about advertising. And what some people in my firm suggested as their #1 idea was to hire a plane with a banner to go over beaches. That was their idea. And they said, this is a great one. So I didn't narrowly define it. What I should have said is, how do you get more referrals to you? And so what I really want you to do is, when you walk through this process with your team, make sure you narrowly define your challenge. Okay? The next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna get some index cards. I'm gonna suggest that you give everybody at the table 100 index cards because you're gonna blow through these index cards. On these index cards, you're gonna pose the question that you've defined as your challenge, okay? Now, I have had situations where people say, well, we're gonna focus group and allow people to call out and yell out their ideas. That's not good because you want the crazy ideas written down. Once people start hearing other people's ideas, they're gonna get embarrassed about theirs. They're gonna say, oh, that's a duplicate. I don't wanna necessarily say that. You want them working one-on-one, just with themselves, coming up with the ideas that are gonna solve the problem that you've posed to them. So I can't stress enough, give as many note cards as you can to them because you're gonna blow through them as much as possible. Then we're gonna talk about the rule of 3. Rule of 3 is historic, and we're gonna do this in 2 3-minute increments. So you're gonna take the challenge and you're gonna pose it to them in a 3-minute challenge where they sit down and write the answer to the challenge on as many note cards as they can in 3 minutes, right? So this is a system that's set up that you can run at any time you want. You pick a half hour, 45 minutes with your group, and you just bang it out. We do this maybe 4 or 5 times a week with the administrative staff, with the marketing team, with the lawyers. This is a great opportunity for some bonding, and also to get some levity because you're gonna get some funny answers when you're asking people for their crazy ideas. So what I suggest you do is you take 3 minutes, 2 times, and you say, in my challenges, what can we do to get more referrals to you as an attorney? And have them sit down. And they will say, speak to Rotaries, go to the gym more, have a Facebook page, and they'll just start writing down crazy ideas. Get in a plane and fly it over people. Drop leaflets onto the beach. You never know what people are going to say. And that's okay. You want those crazy ideas because the crazy ideas can spark imagination for how to tweak something. And that's really what you want to do. Once you get through the first 3 minutes, you say pens down. Now let's do it again. Because by pushing them to the outer limits of their imagination, you're going to wind up with better and more ideas. Now, there's going to be 3 different metrics that you're going to grade on. Remember, rule of 3, 3 minutes, 3 metrics. First metric that we use for a marketing approach is how many resources are required, okay? So if I'm pitching to them, hey, I want you to come up with more ideas on how to market our business more on social media, right? That's a very common one. The first question I'm going to ask them to answer is how many resources are required? Well, if it's a Facebook Live, all we need is a camera and a single person. That's a very small number of resources, right? Now, if I want to do a production studio where I'm going to show a full trial with fake jurors and a fake prosecutor in a courtroom, that's a lot of resources. So you're going to measure based on a scale that we're going to talk about how many resources are required. The next thing that you're going to measure is what is your gut feeling? And you're going to want to go around the room. You know, if you've read Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink, our gut reactions are usually right. You know, and it's unfortunate in my case as defending people charged with DUI, the gut reaction usually doesn't help my client. But in our practices, the gut reaction is this an idea that will work? And as you go around the room, you'll get some people who will be able to say, yeah, I really like that. The last metric is going to be how easy will this be to maximize? How easy will it be to scale? If it's going to be a Facebook Live with an iPhone and 1 associate, and you've got 10 associates, you can scale that times 10 pretty easily. If it's multiple filmed mock trials, that's going to be very difficult to scale. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a 1 to 4 scale, right? Now, there will always be somebody in your group who wants to score it on a 0 to 4 scale. You cannot allow them to use 0 because it messes everything up. Even the worst idea merits a 1, okay? Don't fall for the trap of, well, that's no good, we're going to throw that out. And there's a reason for the madness, because those ones that wind up as 1s could be turned into something down the line. You don't want to automatically discard them. Another group in your team might be able to tweak that into something better. So on the 1 to 4 scale, if we go back through, we're going to measure it. How many resources? A lot of resources, that's a 1. Few resources, that's a 4. What is your gut feeling? I don't know if this will work, or this is really going to work. Really going to work? That's a 4. How hard is it going to be to maximize our idea? That's 1. I think it's kind of a challenge. I don't know if the people are ready for it. 4. I think this is going to be great. And we're looking for 12s. You're going to sit around together and score each one on those 3 metrics. And you're looking to find the 12s. Now, you may not find 12s or a lot of 12s in your first run-through of this. But take everything over 10 and start to see what really are the diamonds that came out of nowhere. When you have the 12s, you can put yourself in a situation where you can really get everybody jazzed about doing something together, right? So here's the next step, and this is something that's critical. When you have 12s, you're going to have somebody who came up with the 12, and they feel proud. It is their baby. You're going to have another person maybe who came up with a 12 that is also proud, also wants to get that baby to be the one that's used, but you're only going to pick 1. That doesn't mean you're going to stop and never do the other 12s or the 11s or the 10s. What it means is you need to take the other ones and embargo them. So you get a piece of paper, you write the idea, you say embargoed 30 days, embargoed 45, 90 days, and pin it to the wall. Put the date on it that we're going to start getting into this. Have the people who came up with the idea take ownership of it. Maybe in those 45 days, while they're working on the one idea that you wanted to really push as a firm, they can start amassing in their side time the things necessary to put their plan into place. So we're not throwing out everything less than a 12. We're embargoing the ones that we want to do. It's just not the time yet. So after you've gone through your calculations, after you have the number 12 that you really want to work, that's when you have to go and execute. People are going to be jazzed about the idea. So what you have to do at that time is not say, okay, we have our idea. Great, see y'all next week. Now, you take a step back and you say, Ryan, you're in charge of this. Get this done in the next 10 days. Beth, you have to do this, and you only have 5 days to do it. And assign responsibilities. Get everybody bought into it. I would recommend the person who came up with the idea is not the project leader, because you want other people taking ownership in it. So it puts you in a situation where you can get the best ideas from people in your organization or even from your friends. I mean, you can use this 3-part way of approaching virtually any problem that you have in your office. If you need to reach me, these are the ways that you can do it. You can get me on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or on Facebook. All I'm here to do is help you make more ideas. You can get 150 ideas out of your office in 10 minutes if you apply this point step. Thank you much.